Welcome to our quick tour of Global CFO, a truly remarkable financial analysis tool. First off, you'll notice that we haven't filled this with market-driven music and glitz. We want this actually to be very simple and speak to you in a very straightforward manner. So hopefully you'll enjoy the tour and understand how robust this tool really is. So let's start with the inputting section. We have two components, income statements and balance sheets, and these are derived from standard financial reports. And these are historical reports, of course, so up to 5 years of information can be added here. And I'll just scroll down a little bit so that you can see that it follows the standard accounting conventions and drives us all the way down to our bottom line, which is our net income or loss and the dividends paid. So as I move back up, I'll show you the other section on inputting, which is the balance sheet, and it stacks up all of the information historically, as did the income statement. Just a word of advice as you use this, it's important that this information is accurate, because everything after this that is derived in Global CFO relies on this information that you input. So it's important to get it right the first time. In the reporting section, we start out with income statements, and this is the same information that you entered, but it's broken down also in percentages. So this can be a very helpful feature. As we look, for example, at beginning inventory here in 2009, you'll notice that over $14 million in inventory compared to $40 million in gross revenue. It's expressed as a percentage, so this inventory is 36% of gross revenue. And all of the line items all the way down through the report are expressed in that way. It's a good visual to notice trends and to see how much things cost compared to the revenue that we take in. Balance sheet information does not use those percentages, but is stacked up year after year so that we can see the trends also. Cash flows. This will tell us how we managed our cash, and of course whether we made money or lost money, and whether we had to borrow to keep our company or organization going. And then finally, growth rates. And this is where the magic begins to happen in Global CFO. These items that you see in red are actual growth rates that for items that grew faster than gross sales. Now notice these are all percentages, they aren't dollars. So the beginning inventory in 2011 grew 15.9%. The gross sales grew 7.9%. So this is an item that grew faster than our gross revenue. If that continues year over year, we'll notice that we have a trend that's costing us money on the bottom line, and so may require some additional attention and adjustments in how we manage those things. We next go to the forecasting section, and these are all pro forma sheets. So the next few years are projected out, the next 5 years, as you can see here, and we start with the pro forma income statement. So we see that the gross sales year after year are projected to increase. That assumes that all things being equal, and that our history repeats as it has in the past. Now, of course, that doesn't always happen, and things change. And so we have included in this section some what-if capability so that we can predict various factors and see the actual result on our bottom line. And that will be demonstrated in another video. The next one is the pro forma balance sheet and pro forma cash flows. And this is important because it will tell us in the next few years whether we'll need to borrow money to continue to grow at our current rate, or it will also indicate where we might be able to affect some changes that will keep us from having to borrow that money. We next go to the evaluation section. Most companies or organizations are evaluated based on 4 or 5 key ratios. We've included 22 here. We want the organization leaders or the company owners to be able to look at their business in a very robust and deep way, so that if we determine we can affect any of these ratios, it will then show us what the result is on the bottom line, and gives us the ability to manage far better than we have before. Now, a lot of organizational leaders are not fully familiar with ratios, and so we have included a definitions page and some indicators that tell us how that ratio ought to be trending, So if we look at current ratio, that ought to be a trending up year after year. And based on the information put into Global CFO, it shows us that our current ratio is rising, which is what it should be doing. It also tells us what the mathematical formula for that ratio is and what it's supposed to do. And we've also included a Learn More tab that takes us to some other information that can be very helpful in explaining these ratios. Next section is the industry comparison. If we are able to get industry information about the ratios that are average or common with the companies like ours or organizations such as ours in our industry, then we can add that information here, and it will tell us how we are comparing to the industry based on our historical and future performance. Our Z-score is derived from a tool that was developed in the 1960s called the Altman Z-score, and this is a predictor of the likelihood of bankruptcy. It includes information from the past and also projects information for the future in the pro forma side so that we can see how likely it is based on our current performance we might go bankrupt and what that might look like down the road as our company or organization continues to trend in this way. So why is that important? Because we might have to influence those trends to reverse them or change them in some way, and other videos in our series will show how that is done. We next go to the business valuation section. Now, this disclaimer, this is based upon the three most common valuation methods used for valuing businesses. However, it doesn't take in some of the softer factors like goodwill and other items that are difficult to quantify. And so we encourage and will make this statement that this does not tell the entire picture. So if you are using this as a means of valuing your business for the purposes of a sale, we strongly recommend that you get a professional to help you with that. However, year after year, this provides a very good comparison to see, are we creating additional value in our organization or company, and what does that look like? And then finally, the dashboard section, where these ratios and our performance are tracked graphically so that we can see those trends visually over time. So that's a very quick tour. These things can be printed out in report form and this gives us a very good means of looking at how our company or organization is being managed financially and what we might consider doing to influence those trends to create greater value for our owners, for our shareholders, and for those who have a stakeholder interest in our organizations. So we wish you the very best and encourage you to look at the other videos in our series.